What's up? It's Vinny at Vinny Ten Ṛaciņg with our weekly GTR series. Every Wednesday, we're going to be dropping some knowledge and our progress on our GTR race build that will go into our Pro Mod GT, not Pro Mod GTR, but Pro Mod GTR powered VR38. The body itself is a 370, 350 body style, really sleek. People always say to me, Vinny, why wouldn't you use a GTR body style? Like the GTR body style, love it. It's like a refrigerator. It's so square, it's so big. We're trying to go 250 miles an hour plus. We need as much aero as we could possibly get, as much streamline as we possibly get. The 𝐿 cars have gone 557 or 559 at 265, 263. These are big mile per hours. These are big speeds. We're going to need all the aero we can get. Granted that the GTR is a beautiful car, I think the 370, 350 body is much more aerodynamic, and when you see the car, you'll definitely agree. Okay, so last we left off, we was just starting to take the measurements for the crank and the main bearing, which now I have all four, and we explained also what availability bearings that you have. So in this case, after measuring the crank, measuring the bore, it's too tight. I got anywhere from 0.18 or to 0.24. It's about a 0.3 difference, 0.4 difference. It gets that way. Very, very hard to dial in a bed plate, which we're going to talk about in a regular video, but really hard to dial in a bed plate. If you can get it within 3 or 4/10, most importantly is that it's straight. Okay, so when you come across this, you'll be like, oh no, what are you going to do? You can't cut the cap. You can't add, obviously, to the bed plate. Thank God that King in his infinite wisdom. If you look here real quick with the King bearing, and again, most engine guys notice this is not for most engine guys. This is for the guys that want to have a little bit more knowledge on what do you do when you come across a problem. So this particular one, standard issue, GTR Vr38Dett, right? Okay, that means it's a standard bearing. Obviously, that bearing being too tight, which we pretty much know about. And now they've come out with something where it's a VR38, but it says standard X. That X gives you an extra thousandths. So my 2.1 will be 3.1. My 0.24 will be 0.34, or close. I mean, they're always, they seem to measure always tight. Whenever you get a coated bearing, they just seem to measure tight. So I suspect it'll probably be more that 3.4 would probably be more like a 3.2. You got an 0.22 there. That's going to be an 0.32. And then we'll have the last one at the last main. It'll be, actually, this is the tightest one, and this will be 0.018. That'll be, in the end, 0.28. So that should work out really, really well. I might puff up the back of the bearing. Sometimes you can take a little bit off the back of the bearing, just polish it up with some 320 sandpaper, give you a little bit extra, a couple of extra tenths to get in there. But again, I'm not really worried. Well, of course, we're always worried about clearance, but I'm really, really worried in making sure that this is absolutely straight. And so the line hone, as much as I'm concerned about the bearing clearance, my number one concern is making sure that the crank is absolutely straight, which in this particular case, it absolutely is. So next week, we're going to be doing, the next one that you see coming up is going to be the rods. And you guys stick around to see what kind of rod we're going to put in this thing. I don't think you've ever seen a rod like this unless you're racing at this level. So check it out. Next Wednesday, we'll drop this. Following Wednesday, we're going to be doing rod bearing clearance and making sure that the block in itself has enough clearance to rotate as a complete lower end assembly. And then we're going to move on to pistons and ring end gaps and all of that stuff. So really exciting. Really enjoy this, building this stuff with you. Gives me a little bit of a chance to kind of teach what I've learned to the masses a little bit, which is something I really like doing. I've been always told I'm a good teacher, so we'll see how that turns out. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for working with me on this VR38, and let's see if we can make that 2,800, 3,000 horsepower. Again, anywhere between 2,500 and 3,000. I know it's a big spread, Most people don't even have 500 horsepower in their own car, let alone the spread that we're looking for. But I'll be happy anywhere near that. Again, you know, one of the things that a lot of people have drawn to my attention is that they can't really get the 2,800, 3,000 horsepower out of the stock block. I'm going to try to buck that trend. I'm going to see if we can actually get that kind of horsepower out of the block based on the type of sleeve we use, type of main stud that we've come up with, along with Magnus. And let's see if we can really get that 2,800 to 3,000 without having to use a billet block. Not that I have anything against the billet block. I think the billet block is definitely in play here. I think that's the 3,500 horsepower motor that we'll eventually try to build, obviously, after capitalize on whatever successes that we have on here. Nissan, you know, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. What I got to tell you, and the bottom line, this is the best Japanese engine ever built. It's better than any RB motor. It's better than any 2JZ motor. And we're going to be able to prove that to the entire racing community. You know, and it's kind of ironic because when I first started in import racing, very little import racing was going on. You know, it was just really a handful of guys out of New Jersey, really. Pepe Loco, El Puglia, just guys I can't even remember right now, but a bunch of guys that were racing, about 7 or 8 of us, believe it or not. It wasn't that many. And, you know, when I first came onto the 2J scene, you know, with the 2J, you know, that kind of killed, you know, the 2-rotor rotary, and it killed the 4-cylinder. And, you know, at first, there wasn't even classes for the 6-cylinder in Pan American. But I feel like the Vr38 and what I'm going to bring to the table with that is going to do the same thing that the 2JZ did to the 2-rotor and the 4-cylinder. Well, the Vr38 is going to do the same thing to the 2J. I agree that the 2J is an excellent, incredible motor. I still have race cars with them, with that platform. Nothing against it. I think it's an excellent, excellent platform. I've set records, held records, did some phenomenal things with the 2JZ platform. But I got to tell you, I think the Vr38 is going to dethrone that as the king, and there's going to be a new king in town. So we'll see. We'll see as we get by, as we move forward with it. Talk to my guy, my chassis guy. He's sending up the parts today. Actually, his wife just gave me a call, texted me, confirmed my address, sending up all the other billet parts that I had to send back down there for them to, you know, set up the car with, you know, the intake manifold and make the headers and make the intercooler and the radiator setup. That's all done. So they're kind of waiting on me, and I'm waiting on getting some more parts. I'm telling you, right after Christmas, maybe before Christmas, we're going to be firing this thing up. Called the right people. It's called Eric Lazinski. He's ready. Kevin did a phenomenal wiring job, like I said. I mean, he went above and beyond, and can't thank that man enough. That's for sure. And, of course, my buddy and brother and arm, Shane T, is just, he's biting at the bit for us to get together and race again, and I can't wait to race with him. So hang in there, everybody. We're getting it done. Thanks for coming along for the ride with us, and, you know, keep subscribing, keep sharing, and, you know, let's keep it moving.